A huge Brexit row has erupted after a fish producers organisation said Northern Ireland's fishermen are being mugged off in broad daylight. The Anglo-North Irish Fish Producers Organisation ANIFPO said the country is due around £20 million a year of Brexit dividend fish returned by EU fleets but fumed it may only receive half of that sum. The organisation claimed much of Northern Ireland's fair share from this will in fact go to Scotland. ANIFPO chief executive Alan McCullough has been left furious with the UK government, and warned if the share-out is approved, it would be an unjust and bitter blow to our sector. He raged, "We are being mugged in broad daylight because London believes we can be sacrificed without serious repercussions." Mr McCullough claimed the government is now planning to cut Northern Ireland's fishing entitlement and his manifesto commitments to local fishermen. A Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs (DEFRA) spokesman said, "The UK and EU's historic trade agreement reflects our new status as an independent coastal state and protects and promotes the rights of fishermen across all parts of the UK. We are committed to ensuring that the additional quota the UK secured through the Trade and Cooperation Agreement brings the maximum economic benefit to our coastal communities, and more details on this allocation will be announced shortly." Liam Halligan, economist and journalist at The Telegraph, has suggested the UK needs to be careful of cross-channel as Europe struggles with a third wave of coronavirus. He writes in an op-ed the EU has only managed to vaccinate 12% of its population, in contrast with the over 40% for Britain. But the rise in cases and renewed EU lockdown should concern the UK, with Mr. Halligan adding, "We're not safe until the EU has also licked COVID, and daily cases are now 3 to 4 times UK levels." And on top of viral infection, the dangers of cross-channel economic contagion are also coming into view. Mr. Halligan also suggested the EU may turn to quantitative easing schemes to combat the economic impacts of coronavirus, of which he believes the shockwaves will be felt around the world. Boris Johnson is expected to announce a new trade pact with India on April 26, when he visits New Delhi. While a senior government official said, the British Prime Minister's itinerary in India is yet to be finalized, the visit is confirmed to go ahead after Mr. Johnson received his dose of coronavirus vaccine. Mr. Johnson and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi are expected to finalize plans for an enhanced trade partnership between the two countries. Officials said the plans were reviewed at a ministerial level in February, and Lord Tariq Ahmad, Minister for the Commonwealth and the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, said in January, "We have been undertaking steps to remove barriers to trade and the hope is that an enhanced trade partnership will lead to a positive free trade agreement (FTA) with India in future." The ultimate goal is an FTA. Polls for this year's German federal election show Angela Merkel's party performing badly due to issues with the coronavirus vaccine rollout. The Christian Democratic Union (CDU) party, and their Bavarian sister party, the Christian Social Union (CSU), suffered defeats in two key regional elections on Sunday. Ms. Merkel's party lost support in Baden-Württemberg and Rhineland-Palatinate, and Politico's poll of polls shows support for the CDU slumped to 30% in national parliament voting intention. Pollsters and observers have pinned the slump on Germany's issues with administering vaccines, as well as other issues with rising coronavirus cases and a scandal over MPs profiting off of face mask deals early into the pandemic. Bavaria's conservative premier Markus Söder, potential candidate to succeed Ms. Merkel in the national election, told the Frankfurter Allgemeine newspaper, "Many are simply disappointed, cases are rising." The founder of BioNTech has lifted Germany's hopes of improving its vaccine rollout, saying he was optimistic the country can administer enough jabs by summer's end. Ur Sahin believes the EU's issues rolling out the coronavirus vaccine are temporary, and thinks 70% of Germans can be vaccinated by the end of September. He told the Welt am Sonntag newspaper, "In many European countries and the US, we will probably not need lockdowns by summer's end. There'll be outbreaks, but they'll be background noise. There'll be mutations, but they won't frighten us. BioNTech partnered with Pfizer to manufacture coronavirus vaccines, with the EU purchasing 300 million doses with the option for another 300 million. The European Commission warned AstraZeneca in particular could face export bans to countries outside the EU if it didn't quickly deliver its promised amount of vaccines to the 27-nation bloc. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said in an interview with German media group Funk on Saturday, "We have the possibility to ban planned export. This is a message to AstraZeneca, you fulfill your part of the deal toward Europe before you start to deliver to other countries." Ministers from the EU's 5 Mediterranean countries have urged the bloc to share an equal intake of migrants. Greece, Malta, Cyprus, Italy and Spain representatives took part in a meeting yesterday to coordinate efforts urging the EU to revise its Pact on Migration and Asylum. Malta's Interior Minister Byron Camilleri said on Saturday, "We can no longer be punished for our geographical position." Dylan Donnelly takes over from Paul Withers. The Liberal Democrats have claimed that we owe it to Europe to reverse Boris Johnson's damaging Brexit deal. Layla Moran told its spring conference that the party is still endeavoring to overturn the democratic referendum in 2016. And while claiming to act for the British people, a majority of whom voted Leave, she said that her party are unashamedly pro-European. Boris Johnson promised to get Brexit done. And now our challenge to him is, make your Brexit work for the British people. And if you can't, we can show you a better way. And to those Lib Dem members reading this who joined the party over Brexit, and are as frustrated as I am about where the country is now, the best revenge is served at the ballot box, including this May. We, the Liberal Democrats, will endeavour to reverse the Tories' damaging Brexit. We owe it to the British public and Europe to do so. Brexit tensions were riding high as the EU fined the UK £2.4 billion and branded Britain a fraud hub. The UK is in the midst of a legal row with the EU as Brussels sues the country for failing to recover illegal tax breaks doled out to multinational firms. Authorities are yet to reclaim the £86 million in tax breaks aimed at luring firms to Gibraltar over 2 years after the EU deemed them illegal, the European Commission warned this week. The move comes days after the EU's March 15 decision to escalate a dispute with Britain over its unilateral decision to delay implementing a key part of the Brexit deal relating to Northern Ireland. Legal disputes between London and Brussels have become a theme throughout the Brexit process since the UK voted to leave the bloc in 2016. In March 2018, the European Commission fined Britain £2.4 billion. The European Union has been accused of showing itself to be the virus and not the vaccine, with a leading Eurosceptic claiming Brexit Britain has left Brussels humiliated with its successful COVID jab rollout. Britain has received widespread acclaim for the rollout of its coronavirus vaccination program and the speed at which it is administering jabs to its 67 million citizens. But in contrast, the European Union has come under attack for its sluggish rollout of jabs and has been embroiled in fierce rows with vaccine makers, including AstraZeneca, over production issues. Charles-Henri Gallois, president of political campaign group Génération Frexit in France, has launched a scathing attack against the EU, claiming if member states were independent, they would not find themselves engulfed in the vaccine chaos and lagging so far behind the UK. Scottish Liberal Democrat leader Willie Rennie has warned Scottish independence would be like Brexit on a rocket to Mars. He told the UK Liberal Democrat Spring Conference now is not the time for the long, divisive, argumentative, exhausting, all-consuming event of another referendum on the issue. Mr. Rennie said, reasonable people would agree, no matter what they think about independence, that this is not the moment for another referendum. But they see in the news that the SNP want a vote by this Christmas. In the middle of a pandemic, when thousands have lost their lives, thousands more have lost their job and our normal freedoms have been taken from us. Now is not the moment for that long, divisive, argumentative, exhausting, all-consuming event. An event that would suffocate our country, snuff out debate on other important matters and split our country asunder. We don't have to guess what it would be like. We've had an independence campaign before. Families were split, friendships were broken, business was lost, and we had Brexit. The scars are deep. Independence would be Brexit Mark II. Independence would be like Brexit on a rocket to Mars. It would take a lot of energy, the journey is very long and there is no way back. That is why I want people in Scotland to put aside our differences on independence and focus on the recovery. Ursula von der Leyen has threatened to block exports of the AstraZeneca vaccine if the EU does not get its deliveries first, just days after countries across Europe suspended the use of the jab over safety concerns. The European Commission President's latest remarks underscore the uncertainty swirling around Brussels as criticism mounts over her handling of the bloc's pandemic response. Meanwhile, former Brexit Party MEP Ben Habib has launched a scathing attack on the EU for its haphazard approach, claiming it had a love-hate relationship with AstraZeneca. Speaking to Germany's Funk media group, Mrs. von der Leyen warned, "We have the option of banning a planned export. That's the message to AstraZeneca, you fulfill your contract with Europe first before you start delivering to other countries." Chairman of the Defense Select Committee Tobias Ellwood warned that foreign aid cuts and rumored reductions of army personnel does not send a global Britain message which is needed post-Brexit. Tobias Ellwood spoke to Express.co.uk and was concerned that the cuts to foreign aid from 0.7% to 0.5% of GDP will limit Britain's ability to be a strong international actor who can exert influence. The Conservative MP warned that a rumoured 10,000 army personnel cut means the UK would be unable to understand the world and its issues better and will weaken its diplomatic reach. He added that the cuts could mean that international humanitarian issues are unable to be fixed at source and warned the UK may see more illegal migration or bigger war zones. Ornish fishermen are now seeing a more domestic demand for their catch after they have chosen to export less because of post-Brexit bureaucracy. The fishermen have decided to sell more to home markets because of French awkwardness over new EU import paperwork. Now the fishermen are seeing an increase in sales of lobsters, spider crabs, and pollock at domestic markets. This increase in sales is also from households buying directly from Cornish suppliers, particularly during the lockdown. Craig Tonkin, the owner of Fresh Cornish Fish in Newlyn, said he has seen a huge rise in domestic sales since Brexit. He said, "We were an export company. We were probably 90% export and 10% UK. But now we are 60 or 70% UK and 30% export." Rising frustration with the unionist community over the Brexit deal signed by Boris Johnson in December, and specifically, with the Northern Ireland Protocol, have the potential to open a Pandora's box of protests, one loyalist politician has warned. Meanwhile, Northern Ireland Secretary Brandon Lewis has said the recent announcement by loyalist paramilitary groups that they were temporarily suspending support for the Good Friday Agreement (GFA) indicated the risk rising tensions posed. Northern Ireland has been a key sticking point in the Brexit debate, and just 1 month after the United Kingdom quit, the European Commission briefly threatened to impose emergency controls on vaccines crossing the Irish land border. Though the EU swiftly backtracked, the issue remains highly contentious, especially since the UK last month unilaterally extended a grace period for checks on food going from Britain to Northern Ireland, which effectively stayed in the EU's single market and customs union under the divorce deal to avoid a hard border with Ireland, prompting Brussels to initiate legal proceedings. Brussels chiefs suffered a savage attack by a Spanish MEP over the bloc's relentless attacks on Britain. Vox MEP Herman Tertsch argued EU leaders lack the ability to recognize their mistakes and listen to European citizens' concerns. Asked how he judged the bloc's attitude towards the UK during and after the Brexit negotiations, the Spanish politician told Express. Co.uk, he believes EU chiefs are stubborn. He said, "The UK will do perfectly well outside the EU. The problem is not the UK, the problem is in Europe." David Cameron instructed the civil service not to prepare for the consequences of a no vote ahead of the 2016 Brexit referendum, it is claimed. Mr. Cameron, the former Tory Prime Minister responsible for allowing the British people a vote on EU membership, was one of the leading campaigners in the Remain campaign. It has since emerged the Prime Minister was so confident Britons would vote to stay in the bloc, he banned civil servants from preparing for the opposite outcome. The claims were made in a recent book, which charts the career of the late Jeremy Haywood, who served as Cabinet Secretary to Mr. Cameron. Cricketing legend Lord Botham, a staunch supporter of Brexit, has welcomed the news that the BBC will not threaten over 75s with legal action if they fail to pay their TV licence. The peer said he has been flooded by complaints from people in their 90s who have been sent threatening letters from the BEAD. He said it would be totally unacceptable for the broadcaster to hound elderly Britons by agents to their doors. Lord Botham said, "It would be plain wrong for Tim Davie to break this practice and start prosecutions of our oldest pensioners. I have countless complaints from pensioners in their 90s who find the BBC's letters threatening." Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, must carry the can for the bloc's shambolic vaccine procurement and rollout and should consider her position, former Brexit Party MEP David Bull has said. And Mr. Bull, himself a qualified doctor, also fears European countries are putting their citizens at risk by suspending use of the AstraZeneca vaccine, over concerns about isolated cases of blood clots, despite health regulators pronouncing the jab to be safe. The bloc's coronavirus response has been mired in controversy from the outset. Initially, countries across the EU27 closed their borders in direct contravention of the Schengen Agreement aimed at ensuring freedom of movement. Angela Merkel is to blame for the CDU's disastrous recent election showing, and her handling of Germany's COVID-19 response, plus the fact that Brexit happened on her watch, is likely to tarnish her legacy, a former MEP and industry leader has said. Hans-Olaf Henkel also pointed the finger at European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who served under Mrs. Merkel as her defense minister before becoming President of the European Union, for cocking up the bloc's response. Mr. Henkel, 81, who stepped down from the European Parliament in 2019, was speaking at the end of a disastrous week for the Chancellor's party, which slumped to 22.9% of the vote in the Baden-Württemberg state legislature election, and 26% in neighbouring Rhineland-Palatinate. Britain said on Friday that anger in Northern Ireland's unionist community over the Brexit divorce deal was serious and cautioned the European Union that such tensions could ultimately undermine stability unless properly addressed. Northern Ireland has always been the toughest issue in the Brexit divorce, and just a month after the United Kingdom exited the EU, the European Commission briefly threatened to impose emergency controls on vaccines crossing the Irish land border. Though the EU swiftly stepped back from that, tensions have been rising in Northern Ireland, a British province. Britain last month unilaterally extended a grace period for checks on food going from Britain to Northern Ireland, which effectively stayed in the EU's single market and customs union under the divorce deal to avoid a hard border with Ireland. The EU has started legal action over Britain's move. A senior pro-British loyalist said on Friday that Northern Ireland's 1998 peace agreement is under threat and a Pandora's box of protest and political crisis will be opened unless the EU agrees to significant changes to the Brexit deal. Meanwhile, Northern Ireland Secretary Brandon Lewis told reporters, if the unionist community feel that the protocol is breaching the Good Friday Agreement and moving away from the spirit of it, then we're in quite a dangerous place in terms of stability of not just the executive but the North-South institutions. Brussels is attempting to remove Northern Ireland from the rest of the UK in a bitter plot to stop more states leaving the bloc, Brexiteer Andrew Bridgen has claimed. In a stark warning, Mr. Bridgen claimed Brussels was being inflexible over trade in Northern Ireland in order to show member states the true cost of leaving the EU. Speaking to Express.co.uk, Mr. Bridgen claimed the EU was trying to punish the UK over Brexit and using Northern Ireland as the stick to beat the UK. He said, they always wanted to punish us by annexing Northern Ireland. Frexit could be edging a step closer after a leading campaigner claimed the ongoing European Union vaccine fiasco has turned some Remainer voters against Brussels and urged France not to waste this opportunity to follow the UK out of the bloc. During the historic Brexit referendum in June 2016, the UK voted by a margin of 52% to 48% to leave the EU, with Britain completing its full departure from the bloc following the end of the transition period on December 31. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has basked in the glory of being free from the Brussels shackles, insisting Britain will quickly thrive and flourish in the years outside the EU. The UK has also received widespread praise for quickly buying tens of millions of vaccines from leading drugs makers and the speed at which the population of 67 million are receiving their jabs, with every adult on course to receive their first dose by July 31. Joe Biden and Boris Johnson will set aside their political differences in order to achieve their mutual goals and secure a stronger relationship between the UK and the US, John Redwood forecast. Tory MP John Redwood said he was confident Boris Johnson and Joe Biden would work together as leaders of the UK and US. While speaking to Express.co.uk, Mr. Redwood insisted the pair would be able to overcome the political differences of a Democrat president and Conservative Prime Minister. He highlighted the pair would be able to work together to achieve their climate change goals, an issue both have insisted is important. Keir Starmer has been urged by Labour peer Baroness Chakrabarti to axe anti-Brexit candidate Dr. Paul Williams. Labour's candidate to defend Hartlepool in an upcoming by-election has apologised for his past inappropriate tweets, including one about a favourite Tory MILF. Dr. Paul Williams said on Friday that he wouldn't dream of making comments like this now after the decade-old messages came to light. But Baroness Chakrabarti has urged Keir Starmer to change the candidate immediately. Britain has received widespread acclaim for the rollout of its coronavirus vaccination program and the speed at which it is administering jabs to its 67 million citizens. The UK has so far administered more than 26 million vaccine doses, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson aiming for every citizen to receive their first jab over the next few months in time for the busy summer period. But in contrast, the European Union has come under attack for its sluggish rollout of jabs and has been embroiled in fierce rows with vaccine makers, including AstraZeneca, over production issues. As of March 15, the EU administered 50.8 million vaccine doses to its citizens, just over a tenth of the bloc's total population, according to the latest figures from Our World in Data. EU claims about its cherished so-called level playing field have been exposed by a new analysis showing British companies face competition from EU businesses paying one-fifth the average UK annual wage. Former Brexit Party MEP Ben Habib says the revelation shows the bloc as a trade cartel hell-bent on creating a federal Europe. The EU publishes data for average monthly earnings every 4 years, with the latest set based on figures from 2018. Facts 4 EU Editor-in-Chief, Lee Evans, said, "In this case, it is clear that any pretense from the EU that its actions against the UK are in some way founded on a desire for fairness and a level playing field are nonsense."